Om Sri Lakshmi Narsimhaya Namaha. Annapurna Upanishad. Om, O Devas, may we hear with our ears what is auspicious. May we see with our eyes what is auspicious. O, A worthy of worship. May we enjoy the term of life allotted by the Devas, praising them with our body and limbs steady. May the glorious Indra bless us. May the all-knowing Sun bless us. May Garuda, the thunderbolt for evil, bless us. May Brahaspati grant us well-being. Om, let there be peace in me. Let there be peace in my environment. Let there be peace in the forces that act on me. Chapter 1. The King of Yogins. Nigadha prostrated flat like a rod before Ribhu, that preeminent knower of Brahman. Then, rising, that ascetic respectfully said, "Teach me the truth about the self. By what kind of adoration have you, O Brahmana, attained this status? Teach me that grand science which yields sovereignty over the empire of emancipation. You have done well, Nigadha. Listen to the eternal science by the knowledge of which alone you will be liberated in life. Lodge in Om that envelops the root of phenomena, Brahman, supporting the syllabus aim. Eternal bliss, independent Hirim, renowned with streaming stresses, Swaha, the ruler of the world, Shreem, Mahalakshmi, at once desire, clean, fulfillment, and humanity is the divine Annapurna. I begged of her, using the celebrated and quintessential incantation of 27 syllables, cultivated by the host of female ascetics, namely Aim, Hreem, Shau, Shreem, Kleem, Aum, Namo, Bhagavate Annapurne, Mava Bishtalam, Annam Dehi Swaha, that is, salutations, O divine Annapurna, vouchsafe the food I desire. Thus have I been instructed by my father. From then on have I established myself in this discipline, persisting in the activities of my station in life, and have given myself up to the daily practice of this incantation. When many days passed thus, there appeared in front of me Annapurna, wide-eyed, her lotus face beaming with a smile. Seeing her, I prostrated flat on the ground, and then stood up with folded hands. Well, child, you have done well. Ask of me a boon, delay not. O Nidagha, best of sages, thus hidden by the wide-eyed deity I spoke. O daughter of the mountain, may the truth of the self dawn on my mind. Saying, be it so, she vanished, then and there. Then, through the perception of the world's variety, the idea, Mati, arose in me. Delusion appears fivefold. It will be presently set forth. Due to the first delusion, Jiva and God appear to have different forms. Due to the second, the attribute of agency dwelling in the self appears to be real. The third consists in deeming the Jiva associated with the three bodies as having attachment. The fourth takes the world cause God to be mutable. The fifth delusion ascribes reality to the world as distinguished from its cause. Then also in the mind flashes the cessation of the fivefold delusion. From that moment, spontaneously my mind was assimilated to Brahman. O Nidagha, thus may you too secure knowledge of reality. With humility and respect, Nidagha spoke to Ribhu, impart to me, having faith in you, the peerless science of Brahman. Gratified, Ribhu said, so be it. I shall impart to you the knowledge of reality. O sinless one, be a mighty agent, ardent enjoyer, and a great renouncer. Having this investigated, your own real nature be happy. I am Brahman, ever manifest, pure, first, endless. There is no room for the slightest dallying with the oxed else. Thus think, having become blemishless, achieve nirvana, that is permanent peace, having purified and quietened all movements of the mind. Know that none of the things seen here is there. It is all like the city in the sky and water in the desert. On the other hand, what is nowhere seen at all is not given as an object. Beyond the range of the six senses, mind, O sage, assimilate yourself to that. Grasp I am. That which is the indestructible, infinite spirit, the self of everything, integral, replete, abundant, and partless. Due to the absolute contemplation of absence, or nihil, when the mind dwindles, there results a state of being in general, sata samanya, of that whose essence is unqualified consciousness, surely devoid of all objective tinge. When consciousness chit subsides, there supervenes the exceedingly transparent being in general that resembles non-being. For the liberated self, both embodied and disembodied, surely there occurs this ultimate perception known as the state beyond the fourth. O sinless one, this occurs in the case of the knower both when he has risen from concentration, that is samadhi, and when he is established in it, being born of awareness. This does not happen for the ignorant alone. All waverings between states of reasoning, etc., having vanished, long since his face steeped in the loving light of Brahmic bliss, the sage attains the blessed state through right knowledge alone. The inner cool, calm repose of him who perceives this multitude of gunas as non-self is said to be concentration. The steady mind is empty of latent impulses. The same is the state of contemplation. The same also is aloneness. Besides, it is nothing but perpetual quiescence. The mind, with attenuated latent impulses, is said to be bound for the highest state. Next, the mind, without such impulses, attains the state of the non-doer. On the other hand, the mind's imagination of being the doer is replete with latent impulses. It causes all sufferings, therefore attenuated latent impulses. When the imagination of unity with all objects is mentally discarded, due to its constant introverted state, all things are resolved into empty space. As crowds in a market through active are as good as non-existence to the observer when he is not related to them, so too to the knower is a village like unto a forest. Being inwardly withdrawn, the knower, either asleep, awake, walking, or reading, beholds a city, countryside, or village as if it were no other than a forest, that is, with total disinterestedness. Once the inner cool is won, the world is cool. To those scorched by the inner thirst, the world is afire. For all unliberated beings, what is within is projected externally. But the lover of the inner self, though operating through the organs of action, is unaffected by joy and sorrow. He is said to be concentrated. He who, as a matter of course and not through fear, beholds all beings as one's own self and others' possessions as clods of earth, alone sees right. Let death come now, or at the end of cycles, he remains unblemished as gold, fallen in mire. Consider your mind, who am I? How is all this brought about? How do death and birth happen? Thus considering, you will earn the great benefit of investigation. Your mind will shed its discursive form and quieten when repose. Once through investigation, you comprehend your real nature. O Brahman, your mind, cured of its feverishness, no more sinks in empirical activities, as an elephant does not in the hollow made by a cow's hoof. But a petty mind, O Brahman, does sink in any petty affair, just as a battered mosquito does in the water collected in the hollow made by a cow's hoof. O best of ascetics, to the extent of all objects are readily renounced, the Supreme Self, the transcendent light, alone remains. So long as all objects are not renounced, the Self is not one. What remains after renunciation of the entire objective manifold is said to be the Self. Therefore, in order to realize the self, renounce everything. Having cast off all objects, assimilate yourself to that which remains. Whatever object is beheld in the world around is but the vibration of consciousness. It is nothing permanent. O Brahman, by the term samadhi, that is concentration, the wise denote transcendent understanding that is concentrated, externally appeased, and is cognizant of things as they are. The term concentration denotes the stable, mountain-like status of the self that is unagitated, unegoistic, and unrelated to dualities. O Brahman, it denotes a perfect flow of the mind that is sure, choiceless, and goalless. The best of the knowers of the Vedas, the great ones, win that fourth and stable perception that is fashioned solely through a part of light of the spirit. It is lodged in the heart of all things and not altogether unlike dreamless slumber when the mind and the ego subsides. After liquidating the mind with the mind, that state, that supreme divine bliss body is automatically one. Thence follow the obliteration of all craving for objects. Then dawn the auspicious and superbly splendid light. And then, in the case of the very best, due to the sway of even-mindedness takes place, the ineffable transformation into the self's substance. Directly experienced indeed as the God of gods and self of all entities, moving and stationary, is this total and infinite reality of the self, dwelling in the fast evolving mind that is quietened externally. The unattached, steady, and controlled mind is not in evidence in the worldlings. The attached mind, though subjected to a long drawn austerities, is, as it were, altogether bound. The man free from inner clingings, whose mind dwells on the blissful Brahman, may or may not act externally. Never can he be either agent or experiencer. Chapter 2. 1. Nidagha. What is attachment like? What kind of it leads to human bondage? And what kind of it is said to liberate? How is this attachment cured? 2. Ribhu. Imagination, ignoring wholly the distinction between the body and the embodied self. The exclusive faith in the body is the attachment that is said to bind. Number 3. All this is self. What shall I seek here and what avoid? Know this to be the position of non-attachment that the Jivamukha fosters. 4. I am not, none other than me. Neither this nor the none other exist. This attitude is said to be non-attachment, always maintaining I am Brahman. 5. He does not approve of inactivity, neither does he cling to activities. He, the renouncer, is superbly equable in outlook. He is said to be the non-attached. 6. One who mentally and not in consecrate act alone renounces fruits, etc. of all his activities that adapt is said to be non-attached. 7. Imaginations and the manifold activities issuing therefrom are cured here by non-indulgence in imagination, thus promoting well-being. 8 and 9. The mind that clings not to acts, thoughts and things, to wanderings and reckonings of times, but reposes in consciousness alone, finding no delight anywhere, even when turned towards some object reveals in the self. 10. Let him perform or not at all this empirical activity. Doing or non-doing, his true occupation is self-delight. 11. Or giving up even that objective element as stabilized consciousness, the tranquilized jiva abides in the self like a radiant gem. 12. The quiescent state of the attenuated mind, free from all objective references, is said to be the deep sleep in wakefulness. 13. This state of slumber, O Nidagha, fully developed through practice, is styled the fourth by the best knowers of truth. 14. Having attained the indestructible status in this fourth stage, one reaches a non-blissful poise, as it were, its nature being invariably delightful. 15. Thence lifted above all relativities, Like non-bliss and great bliss, the timeless yogin reaching the state beyond the fourth is said to be liberated. 16. With all bonds of birth loosened and all tamasic conceits dissolved, the great sage abides as the blissful being of the Supreme Self, like a salt crystal in water. 17. That which is the trans-empirical and experiential reality present in the contrasted perceptions of the material and the consciousness is the essence. Brahman is said to be that. 18a. Bondage is encompassed by the object. On release from this, liberation is said to be supervene. 18b and 19. Resting in that unvexed experience, discriminated in the link between the substance and the perception, abide you. Thus one attains the peace of deep sleep that develops in the fourth station, your gaze on that. 20. The self is neither gross nor subtle, neither manifest nor hidden, neither spiritual nor material, neither non-being nor being. 21. That non-dual, indestructible one, which has become the object, the ground of mind and all sense organs, is neither I nor another, neither one nor many. 22. That real joy experienced in the relation between the object and the perception is the transcendental state. Therefore, it is, as it were, nothing in itself. 23. Liberation is not on the top of the sky, not in the nether world, not on the earth. The dwindling of mind in which all desires dry up is held to be liberation. 24. With the thought within, let me have liberation, the mind springs up. This worldly bondage is firm in mind agitated with thought. 25. The mere non-cleansing of mind reduces it to a state of prodigious transmigration. Its cleansing alone, on the other hand, is said to be liberation. 26. What is bondage and what is liberation in respect of the self that transcends all things or that pervades all forms? Think freely. 27. Loving the spirit, lifted above all hopes, fully holy in mind, having won the incomparable state of repose, he seeks nothing here. 28. He is called Jivan Mukta, liberated in life, who lives unattached in the pure being that sustains all, the indubitable spirit, that is the self. 29. He craves not for what is yet to be. He does not bank on the present. He remembers not the past, yet he does all the work. 30. Even ever unattached to those who cling to him, devoted to the devotees, he is harsh as it were to the harsh. 31. A child amidst children, adult amidst adult, bold amidst the bold, a youth amidst the youthful, lamenting amidst those who lament. 32. Steadfast, blissful, polished, of holy speech, wise, simple and sweet, never given to self-pity. 33. Through discipline, when the throb of vital breath ceases, the mind is wholly dissolved, the impersonal bliss, nirvana, remains. 34. Whence all discursive speech turns back, with the obliteration of all of one's mental constructions, that Brahmic status abides. 35. Here is the Supreme Self, whose essence is the light of consciousness. Without beginning or end, the wise hold this luminous certitude to be the right knowledge. 36. The plenitude due to the knowledge all the world is self alone is the right measure of self-realization everywhere in the world. 37. All is self alone. What are the empirical states, being and non-being? Where have they fled? Where are those notions of bondage and liberation? What stands out is Brahman alone. 38. All is the one supreme sky. What is liberation? What is bondage? This is the great Brahman, established mightily. With extended form, duality has vanished. Far from it. Be you, yourself, the self alone. 39. When the form of a stock, stone and cloth is seen aright, there is not even a shadow of difference, bent on imagination of differences, where are you? 40. This imperishable and tranquil essence, present at the beginning and end of things and yourself, always be that. 41. With mental distinctions of duality and non-duality and delusion of old age and death, the self alone shines in its phases, Atmabhi, just as the sea, in its phases of waves. 42. What enjoyment of the desired fruits can disturb him who dwells steadfast, ever wedded in thought to the pure self that fells the trees of dangers to the status of bliss supreme? 43. Mental enjoyments are the force of one who has thought extensively. They move him not in the least, just as a gentle breeze move not a hill at all. 44. Plurality exists in the diverse imagines, not really. Within, just as there is nothing but water in a lake, a man filled with this one certitude is said to be liberated, he who has pursued the real. Chapter 3. 1. Nidagha. What is the nature of liberation without the body? Who is the great sage in possession of it? Resorting to which yoga has he achieved the supreme status? 2. Ribhu. In the region of Sumeru, the celebrated sage Mandavya, resorting to truth imparted by Kaundinya, became liberated in life. 3. Having attained the status of Jivan Mukti, that foremost knower of Brahman, that great sage made up his mind once upon a time to withdraw all his sense organs from their respective objects. 4. He sat in the lotus posture with eyes half closed, slowly avoiding contacts with objects, external and internal. 5. Then he, with a sinless mind, reflected on the degree of steadiness of his mind, clearly thought withdrawn. This mind of mine is extremely restless. 6. It wanders from a cloth to a pot and thence to a big cart. The mind wanders among objects as a monkey does from tree to tree. 7. The 5 openings, eye and so forth, known as the sense organs of cognition, I am watching carefully with my mind. 8. O you sense organs, slowly give up your mood of agitation. Here I am, the divine, spiritual self, the witness of all. 9. With that all-knowing self, I have comprehended the nature of eyes, etc. I am completely secure and at peace. Luckily, I am fearless. 10. Instantly, I rest in myself. The 4th, my vital breaths, its extension, have all in due order subsided within. 11. I am as a fire with its multitudinous flames. When the fuel has been consumed, it blazed forth but now is extinguished. The blazing fire has indeed been extinguished. 12. Having been purified utterly, I remain equable, enjoying all alike. As it were, I am awake though in deep sleep. Though in deep sleep, I am awake. 13 and 14. Resorting to the 4th, I remain within the body with a stable status, having abandoned, together with the long thread of sound, reaching up to Om, object in all the 3 worlds fashioned by imagination. 15. As a bird for flying in the sky leaves the net in which it was enmeshed, the great sage sheds his identification with the sense organs. Then he sheds his awareness of limbs, which has become illusory. 16. He has won the knowledge of a newborn infant, as if the air should give up its power to vibrate. He has terminated the proneness of consciousness to attach itself to object. 17. Then, attaining the unqualified state of consciousness, the state of pure being, resorting as it were to the state of dreamless slumber, he has stayed immovable like a mountain. 18. Winning the stability of dreamless sleep, he has attained the 4th. Though gone beyond bliss, he is still blissful. He has become both being and non-being. 19. Then he becomes that which is beyond even the range of words, which is the nihil or nihilist and Brahman of the knowers of Brahman. 20. Which is the pure, blemishless cognition of the knowers of cognition, the Purusha of Sankhyas and Ishvara of the Yogins. 21. The Shiva of the Shivagamas, the time of those who affirm time alone as the basic principle, the final doctrine of all Shastras and what conforms to every heart. 22. Which is the all-pervading reality, the truth. He has become that, the unuttered, the mooless, the illuminator even of lights. 23. The principle whose sole proof is one's experience of it, he has remained as that. 24. To which is unborn, deathless, beginless, and the first immaculate state, whole and impartite, he has remained as that, a state subtler than that of a sky. In a moment he has become the hallowed God. Chapter 4. 1. Has the Jiva Mukta characteristic like the power to fly in space, etc.? If so, great sage, it is not present in the perfected man, described above. 2. O Brahman, a non-knower of the self, still in bondage, achieves the power to fly in space, etc. by virtue of specific substances, incantations, practices, and potencies of time. 3. This is not the concern of the self-knower. One having contentment in one's self never hankers after the phenomena of nescience. 4. Whatever objects are present in the world are held to be of the stuff of nescience. How can the great yogin, who has dispelled nescience, plunge into them? 5. Whichever confounded person or man of little understanding desires a group of yogic powers achieves them, one by one, through set practices instrumental to them. 6. Substances, incantation, action applied at the right time yield yogic powers all right. None of them lifts man to the status of God. 7. Only influenced by some desire does man work for miraculous powers. The perfect man seeking nothing can have no desire whatsoever. 8. When all desires dry up, O sage, the self is one. How can the mindless sage desire miraculous power? 9. The man liberated in life would feel no surprise were the sun to radiate cool light, the moon's scorching rays, or the fire to blaze downwards. 10. The whole world is superimposed on the supreme reality, the ground, as a snake is on the rope. No curiosity is aroused as regards these superimposed wonders. 11. Those indeed who have known what is to be known and shed all attachments, whose intellect is great, the knots of whose heart have been cut, are free, though living in the body. 12. Dead is his mind, who is unmoved in joy and sorrow, and whom nothing jerks out of equality, even as breaths stir not a mighty mountain. 13. Dead is the mind of one who is undisturbed by danger, resourcelessness, energy, hilarity, dullness, or great rejoicing. 14. The destruction of mind is twofold, determinate and indeterminate. In the state of liberation in life, it is determinate. In that of disembodied liberation, it is indeterminate. 15. The presence of mind makes for sorrow, its destruction promotes joy. Attenuate the existent mind and brings about its destruction. 16. The nature of mind known is folly. O sinless one, when that perishes, one's real essence, mindlessness, is one. 17. The mind of one liberated in life, having qualities like friendliness, etc., is rich in noble impulses. It is never reborn. 18. The destruction of the Jivan Mukta's mind is determinate. Nidagha. With disembodied liberation comes indeterminate destruction. 19. One liberated and disembodied is he who realizes the partless self, his mind. The abode of all excellent qualities as it was is dissolved. 20:21. In that supremely holy, blemishless status of disembodied liberation, marked by mindlessness, in that state of indeterminate destruction of the mind, just nothing remains, neither qualities nor their absence, neither glory nor its absence, nothing whatsoever of the world. 22. Neither sunshine, sunrise nor sunset, neither sensation of joy or anger, neither light nor darkness, neither twilight, day nor night, neither being, non-being, nor centrality marks the status of the disembodied liberation. 23. The spacious status of those who are liberated is disembodied, who have gone beyond intellect and the pomp of worldly life, is like the sky, the abode of the winds. 24. The great Jivan Muktas, whose bodies are the subtle ether, become disembodied there. In the state of disembodied liberation, all their sufferings are cured. They are immaterial, totally quiescent. immobilized in bliss, beyond rajas and tamas. In that state dissolves the remnants of their mind. 25. O great sage, Nidagha, rid your mind of all latent tendencies, concentrate your mind forcefully and go beyond all mental constructions. 26. That eternally self-shining light illuminating the world is alone the witness of this world, the self of all, the pure one. 27. As massed intelligence, it is the ground of all beings. That non-dual Brahman characterized by truth, knowledge and bliss is the object of knowledge. 28-29. The sage fulfills his duties with realization. I am the one Brahman. Brahman is the ground of all, non-dual, supreme, eternal of the essence of beings, intelligence and bliss beyond the range of word and mind. 30. There shines not the forms of the moon and the sun, the winds blow not, and none of the gods are there. This divinity alone shines forth as being pure by itself, free from rajas. 31. The knot of the heart is split, all doubts are cut asunder, all his actions dwindle when he, who is both here and beyond, is seen. 32. In this body are the birds, called the Jiva and the Lord, dwelling together. Of them the Jiva eats the fruit of action, not the great Lord. 33. Alone, as the witness, without participation, the great Lord shines by himself. Through Maya is set up the difference between them. Spirit is the other that its form. As it does not dwindle, the spirit is non-different from all objects. 34. As the unity of the spirit is established through reasoning and means of right knowledge, once that unity is comprehensively known, one no more sorrows, nor is one deluded. 35. Having the certain knowledge, I am the ground of the whole world, solid truth and knowledge, the sage may dispel all sorrows. 36. Those whose flaws have all been attenuated realize in their own bodies the witness of all, whose essence is luminous being, not those others who are encompassed by Maya. 37. Knowing him alone, let the intelligent Brahmana build up wisdom. Let him not dwell on the multitude of words that only makes for verbal weariness. 38. Having mastered the knowledge of Brahman, let him live in childlikeness alone. Having mastered both Brahman knowledge and childlikeness, the sage possesses the self. 39. Know the elemental body as a seed of the creeper of samsara, the transmigratory life, with its immense sprouts, good and evil, having their potencies latent in the body. 40. Of this body the seed is the mind, conforming to cravings. It is a sheet of activity and quiescent moods, a casket holding the gem of pain. 41. The tree of the mind has two seeds. One is the vibration of the vital breath, the other obstinate imagination. 42. When the vital breath, aroused by nervous contact, vibrates at once, the mind is transformed into a mass of sensations. 43. That all pervading awareness is aroused by the vibration of the vital breath. It is better to suppress the awareness of objects. Less harmful is the vibration of vital breath, etc. 44. For mental peace, the yogins suppress vital breath through breath control, meditation, and practices dictated by reasoning. 45. Know the supreme cause yielding the fruit of mental peace, namely the joyful self-evidence of cognition that is known as breath control. 46. Latent impression is said to consist in the seizing of an object by the force of entrenched imagination, despite all considerations of cause and effect. 47. Rejecting everything and imagining nothing, either to be chosen or rejected, the mind remains in itself. Now is the mind unborn. 48. Being continuously free from latent impression, when the mind ceases to ponder, there arises mindlessness that yields supreme tranquility. 49. When no aspect of object in the world is imagined, how can the mind be born in the empty sky of the heart? 50. The conception of a thing's absence is based on its non-being. Mindlessness is posited with reference to the object as such. 51. The mind abiding coolly in itself after the inner rejection of all objects though in modification is still held to have the form of non-being. 52. They indeed are deemed liberated in life whose latent, unenjoyed impressions are like the fried seeds incapable of sprouting anymore. 53. Their minds have acquired the form of sattva. They have gone beyond the farther shore of knowledge. They are said to be mindless. With the fall of their bodies, they become sky-like. 54. Due to the rejection of objects, both the vibration of vital breaths and latent impressions swiftly perish, as does a tree whose root is cut off. 55. In this state of cognition, whatever appears either as experienced before or as altogether new must be meticulously wiped out by everyone whose knowledge is sound. 56. The vast transmigratory life is due to the failure to obliterate them. On the contrary, liberation is held to be just their obliteration. 57. Be immaterial, spiritual, rejecting all pleasures and cognitions. 58. Knowledge depends on the state of objects. One having no knowledge is non-cognitive. Though he performs 100 actions, he is held to be non-inert. 59. He is said to be liberated in life, the clear sphere of whose emotion is not in the least affected by objects. His knowledge is spiritual. 60. Due to the absence of latent impression in the mind, when nothing is imagined, it remains steady with cognitions similar to those of children and the dumb. 61. Now the sage is no longer affected, for he resorts to the vast intelligence, non-knowing in the objective mood. 62. Through the concentration of modelessness, rejecting all the latent impressions, he becomes one with it. In the infinite, even that is dissolved. 63. Though standing, walking, touching, smelling, the intelligent sage, devoid of all clingings, get rid of fluctuating pleasures and the cognitions of the particulars, he is at peace. 64. A sure ocean of excellences, he crosses a sea of suffering because he resorts to this vision even in the midst of vexed activities. 65. Devoid of all particular, the stainless, pure being is one vast essence that is held to be the abode of immutable existence. 66. Rejecting distinctions like the being of time, the being of instants, the being of entities, be solely devoted to pure being. 67. Contemplating but one unqualified universal being, be omnipresent, full, supremely blissful, filling up all space. 68. The pristine, inconceivable status, without beginning and the end, that remains at the fringe of the universal being, is causeless. 69. Cognitions dissolve there. It remains beyond the possibility of doubts. A man who reaches that returns to pain no more. 70. It is the cause of all beings. Itself has no cause. It is the quiescence of all essences. Nothing is more quiescential than that. 71. In the vast mirror of intelligence, all these perceptions of objects are reflected as the trees on the bank are reflected in the lake. 72. That is pure, unobscured truth of the self. When that is known, the mind is tranquilized. Having, through knowledge, won its essence, you become truly free from the fear of samsara. 73. By the application of the remedies mentioned by me for the cause of suffering, that supreme status is attained. 74-75. O knower of truth, if by manly endeavors you forcefully eschew latent impression and establish yourself all alone, in that indestructible status even for a moment, at the very summit of universal being, well, at this very moment you achieve it all right. 76. Or, if you sedulously cultivate the status of universal being, that status you will attain with somewhat greater effort. 77. Nidagha, if you stay meditating on the principles of cognition, through still greater effort you will win that exalted status. 78. O sir, if you strive to shed latent impression, know that till the mind is dissolved, the latent impression too are not attenuated. 79. As long as the latent impressions are not attenuated, the mind is not tranquilized. As long as the knowledge of truth is not won, whence can come mental tranquility? 80. As long as the mind is not tranquil, truth cannot be known. So long as the knowledge of truth is not won, whence can mental tranquility come? 81-82. Knowledge of truth, mind's destruction, attenuation of latent impressions, These mutually cause one another. They are indeed hard to accomplish. Therefore, flinging far from you the desire of enjoyment, cultivate this triad. 84. High-souled one, sought for long and simultaneously the attenuated of latent impression, knowledge of truth, and the destruction of the mind are held to prove effective. 84. By means of these three cultivated aright, the though knots of the heart are shattered without residue, as are the threads when the lotus stalks are crushed. 85. Truth knowers know that breath control corresponds to the eschewal of latent impressions. Therefore, also practice this later too by breath control. 86. By eschewing latent impressions, the mind ceases to be. Also, by obstructing the vibration of the vital breath, it does so. Do the one or the other as you chose. 87. By the steady practice of breath control, the exercise of reasoning taught by the teacher, the practice of yoga posture, and the regulation of diet, the vibration of breath is obstructed. 88. Through behavior without attachment, avoidance of contemplation of birth and empirical life, and the perception of the decline of the body, latent impressions cease to operate. 89. The vibration of the vital breath is indeed the same as mind's vibration. The intelligent man should strive hard to conquer vibration of the vital breath. 90. Without sound reasoning, it is impossible to conquer the mind. Resorting to pure cognition, rejecting attachment, be steady. 91. O great souled one, abide solely in the heart, contemplating without conceptions the pristine, single, matchless, and indubitable status of cognition without objects, but perform action having achieved the status of inactivity in the blaze of tranquil glory. 92. The man who, through ratiocination, in however small a measure, has slain his mind, has achieved the object of his life. Chapter 5. 1. He is said to be dead whose mind is not given over to investigation when he walks or stands, when he is awake or asleep. 2. Know the spirit in itself to be of the nature of the light of right knowledge. It is fearless, neither subjugated nor depressed. 3. The knower digests whatever food he eats, whether it is impure, unwholesome, defiled, through contact with poison, well cooked or stale, as though it were sweet, that is, a hearty meal. 4. The wise know liberation to be renunciation of all attachment. Non-birth results from it. Give up attachment to objects. Be liberated in life, O sinless one. 5. Attachment is to be held to be the impure impression, causing reaction like joy and indignation when the objects sought after are present or absent. 6. Pure is the impression latent in the body of the liberated in life, which does not lead to rebirth and is untainted by elation or depression. 7. O Nidagha, pains do not depress you, joys do not elate you, abandoning servitude to desires, be unattached. 8. Undetermined by space and time, beyond the purview of is and is not, there is but Brahman, the pure, indestructible spirit, quiescence and one, there is nothing else. 9. Thus thinking with a body at once present and absent, be liberated, the silent man, uniform with quiescent mind, delighting in the self. 10. There is neither mind stuff nor mind, neither nescience nor jiva. Manifest is the one Brahman alone, like the sea without beginning or end. 11. The illusory perception of mind, etc., continued as long as I sense is bound up with the body. Objects are mistaken for the self, and the sense of possessions, expressions as this is mine, persist. 12. Sage, illusory perceptions of mind, etc., vanish for one who through introversion internally burns up in the fire of the spirit, the dry grass, that is, this threefold world. 13. I am the self, that is the spirit. I am imperitite. I have neither cause nor effect. Remember your vast infinite form. Through memory, do not be finitized. 14. By means of the mantra, incantation of the spiritual size, contemplation within, the dead disease of craving dwindles as does mist in autumn. 15. The sages hold that the best form of renunciation, namely that of latent impressions, by virtue of knowledge, is the status of aloneness, as it is pure universal being. 16. Where latent impressions remain in the solution, there is deep sleep. It does not make for perfections. Where the impressions are seedless, there is the fourth that yields perfection. 17. Even a very small residue of latent impression of fire, depth, disease, and adversaries of attachment, enmity and poison, affects one adversely. 18. With the seeds of latent impression consumed and conformed to universal being, with or without a body, one no more partakes of sufferings. 19. The decision that is not Brahman is a sum total of nescience, whose extension consists in the opposite decision. This is Brahman. 20. Brahman is spirit. Brahman is the world. Brahman is the congregation of beings. Brahman is myself. Brahman is the adversary of the spirit. Brahman is the allies and friend of the spirit. 21. Once it is realized that Brahman is all, man is Brahman indeed. One experiences the omnipresent spirit, that is peace. 22. When the mind, the guide of unregenerate senses, ceases to operate in regard to alien, the immaculate, all-pervading awareness that remains, the Brahman, intelligence, am I. 23. Resort to the intelligent self, having discarded all speculation, all curiosity, all vehemence of feelings. 24. Thus, intelligent beings with full knowledge, equanimous, with mind rid of all attachment, neither applaud nor condemn either life or death. 25-26. O Brahman, the vital breath has the ceaseless power of vibration. It always moves in this body with its ins and outs. This upgoing vital breath is placed above. The down breath too is similar, only it is stationed below. 27. That best breath control that operates in the expert, whether awakened or asleep, listen to an account of that for better being. 28. Puraka is the contact of the body with the breaths that move forwards from the nostrils through the space of 12 finger breaths. 29. Apana, the down breath, is the moon that keeps the body in well-being. O well-disciplined sage, the up-breath is the sun or the fire which internally warms up the body. 30. Resort to the spiritual identity of the down and up-breaths that dwells neither the point where the up-breath dwindles nor the down-breath rises. 31. Resort to the spiritual imperitite principle when the down-breath has set and for a moment the up-breath has not yet arisen. 32. Resort to that spiritual imperitite principle at the tip of the nose where the breath revolves before the down breath sets while the up breath has done so. 33. These three worlds are only an appearance, neither existence nor non-existence, the consequent renunciation of all concern with an another. The wise maintain is right knowledge. 34. Noble Brahman, even this appearance is distorted by the mirror of the mind. Therefore, giving up that too, be rid of all appearances. 35. Uprooting this fearful demon of the mind, detrimental to the essence of steadiness, remain what you are, be steadfast. 36. The spirit that is beyond cause and effect and is likened to the boundless sky is incapable of confrontation by any real object. It remains at the end of all mental processes. 37. The satisfaction felt at the moment of desire is caused by that very desire. This satisfaction lasts only till discontent sets in, therefore reject desires. 38. Reduce desires to desirelessness. Let conception cease. Let mind grow into mindlessness in the process of your life without attachment. 39. Acting through sense organ free from the force of latent impulses like the sky, you would not alter though there be 1,000 disturbances. 40. Due to the activities and inactivity of the mind, does empirical life start and subside. Through the suppression of latent impulses and the vital breath, reduce the mind to inactivity. 41. Due to the activity and inactivity of the vital breaths, does empirical life start and subside. Through drill and application, reduce it to inactivity. 42. Due to the active and passive phases of ignorance, Do activities get started and ceases. Dissolve it, ignorance, forcefully by winning a teacher and the instruction of the Shastras. 43. By a mere quiver of the non-objective knowledge or by suppression of vital breaths is mind reduced to mindlessness. That is the supreme status. 44. Through the perception of Brahman, infallible directly to its bliss, behold the real bliss occasioned by the visioning of the knowable as Brahman. 45. That indeed is the non-factitious bliss which the mind does not reach. It is free from decline and growth. It neither rises nor sets. 46. The mind of the knower is not called mind. Mind indeed is the truth of spirit. Therefore, in the fourth state, it transcends that state. 47. Having renounced all mental constructions, equable and with quiescent mind, be a sage, wedded to the yoga of renunciation, possessing both knowledge and freedom. 48. The Supreme Brahman is that which confronts to no act of mentation. It is what remains when mental activities completely die down and all masses of latent impulses have been liquidated. 49. By securing right knowledge and by unremitting concentration, those who become enlightened in the wisdom of the Upanishads are the Sankhyas and the others are the Yogins. 50. Those are the Yogins versed in yoga who, after the quiescence of the breath, through ascetic practices, achieve the status above sufferings, beginless and endless. 51. What is required to be won by all is the uncaused and still status, the contemplation of the one, changeless real, the control of breaths, the dwindling of the mind. 52. When one of them is perfected, it helps perfect the others also. The vital breaths and mind of living beings are all concomitant. 53. Like the container and the content, they perish when only one is present. Through self-destruction, they produce the best of products, namely liberation. 54. If remaining steady you reject all this by understanding, then on the cessation of the I sense, you yourself are the supreme status. 55. There is one but great spirit which is called being. It is flawless, ever pure, free from the I sense. 56. It shines forth but once, the pure, the ever risen, the same. It is described by many names as Brahman, the supreme self, etc. O Nidagha, knowing for creation I am that, having done what have to be accomplished, I never think of the past or the future. 58. I cling wholly to the vision that is present here and now. This have I won today. I shall achieve this beautiful thing. 59. I laud not, neither do I condemn. Nothing other than the self is anywhere. The gaining of the good does not gladden me. Evil betiding me does not sadden me. 60. Sage, the waverings of mind have been totally stilled. It is robbed of all sorrows. It is cured of all wantings. It is tranquil. Therefore I am hale and untrammeled. 61. This is a friend, this is a foe, this is mine, that is stranger. This sort of knowledge does not occur to me. O Brahman, no affection touches me. 62. Rid of all latent impression, the mind is liberated from old age and death. Mind with latent impression inherent in it is knowledge. What is to be known is the mind rid of all latent impressions. 63. When the mind is rejected, this duality on all sides is dissolved, but remains the tranquil supreme one, pure and untrammeled. 64. The endless, unborn, unmanifest, unaging, tranquil, unlapsing, non-dual, beginless and endless, which, nevertheless, is the first apprehension. 65. One devoid of beginning and the end, Holy Spirit, pure, pervasive, subtler, far than the sky, thou art that Brahman indubitably. 66. Undetermined by space, time, etc., superlatively pure, ever arisen, omnipresent, this one end is all in all. Be thou that pure spirit. 67. All is this tranquil one, devoid of beginning, middle and end. All is unborn, both being and non-being, so thinking be happy. 68. I am not bound nor liberated. I am indeed the untrammeled Brahman. I am free from duality. I am being, intelligence, bliss. 69. Keeping far away the entire multitude of objects, be you ever devoted to the self, your mind all cooled. 70. That is fine, that is not. Such feeling is the seed of your extended sorrow. When that is burdened in the fire of impartiality, what is the occasion for sorrow? 71. First augment wisdom by means of familiarity with the Shastras and by seeking the company of the holy. 72. The true, real and ultimate Brahman, superlative pure, eternal, without beginning and end, is the cure of all forms of transmigratory life. 73. So also is it neither coarse nor spaced, neither tangible nor visible. It is tasteless and scentless, unknowable and peerless. 74. Well-disciplined sage, for achieving liberation one should meditate on the bodiless self, that is Brahman, being, consciousness and bliss without end, as I am that. 75. Concentration is the origination of knowledge in regard to the unity of Supreme and the Jiva. The Self, verily, is eternal, omnipresent, immutable and flawless. 76. Being but one, through Maya, it splits up, not in its essence. Therefore, the non-dual alone, no manifold, no empirical life is there. 77. Just as space is called pot space and great space, so, due to delusion, is the self called Jiva and Ishvara in two ways. 78. When all-pervading spirit shines always without a break in the mind of the yogin, then one becomes one's self. 79. Verily, when one beholds all being in one's own self and one's self in all being, one becomes Brahman. 80. In that state of concentration atoned with Supreme, one beholds no being. One then is the alone. 81. The first plane generating the desire for liberation is marked with the practice of discipline and detachment due to the intimacy with the Shastras and the company of the holy. 82. The second is marked by investigation, the third by contemplation with all its accessories, the fourth is a solvent as it consists in the dissolution of latent impressions. 83. The fifth is rapturous. It is pure cognitive. This is a station of liberated in life who is, at it were, half awake and half asleep. 84. The sixth plane is non-cognitive. It is a station similar to deep sleep, having the nature of pure and massive bliss. 85. The seventh plane is marked by equability, utter purity, tenderness. It is indeed unqualified liberation, the quiescence, fourth state. 86. The transcendent state beyond the fourth, nirvana in its essence, is the transcendent and developed seventh plane. It does not come within the purview of mortals. 87. The first three constitute but the wakeful life. The fourth is called the dream state, where the world is regrettably dreamlike. 88. The fifth, confronting to the massive bliss, is styled deep sleep. In contrast, the sixth, with its non-cognitive, is named the fourth state. The most excellent seventh plane is the state beyond the fourth, beyond the range of mind and words, and identified with the self-luminous beings. 90. If due to withdrawal of the cognitive organs into oneself no object is pursued, one is liberated indeed, indubitably, by that mighty sameness of vision. 91. I die not, neither do I live, being preponderantly non-existence. I am existence neither. I am nothing but spirit, so thinking the intelligent Jivan Mukta sorrows not. 92. Stainless am I, unaging and unattached, with latent impression all tranquilized, I am impartite, the veritable spirit sky, so thinking he sorrows not. 93. Rid of the essence, pure, awake, unaging, immortal, peaceful am I. All appearances have been quietened for me, so thinking he sorrows not. 94. I am one with him who dwells at the tip of grass, in the sky, in the sun, in man, in the mountain, and the God, so thinking he sorrows not. 95. Discard all mental constructions and object. Rising well above them, dwell on the thought, I, the free, am the Supreme Brahman that remains. 96. Beyond the purview of words, rid of predicament, of hankering after objects, unagitated even by the flavor of climatic bliss, he delights in the self by himself. 97. Renouncing all action, ever content, independent, neither by virtue, sin, nor aught else is he stained. 98. Just as a mirror is not stained by reflection, so is the be-knower inwardly unstained by action's fruits. 99. Freely moving amidst the masses, he knows neither pains nor pleasure when his body is tortured or honored, as if these are directed to one's reflections. 100. Beyond praise and change, recognizing neither worship nor its object, at once conforming and indifferences to all codes of etiquette. 101. Let him give up his body either in holy spot or in the hut of an eater of dog's flesh. Once knowledge is one becomes Jnanin, a knower of Brahman, free from all latent impressions of karma. 102. The cause of bondage is mental construction. Give that up. Liberation comes through the absence of mental construction. Practice it intelligently. 103. In the context of objects, sense organs and their contacts by vary perpetually and steadily avoiding states of mental constructions. 104. Do not succumb to objects. Neither identify yourself with the sense organs, having renounced all constructions identified with what remains. 105. If anything pleases you, then in the state of bondage are you in empirical life. If nothing pleases you, then indeed are you liberated here. 106. In the multitude of objects moving and stationary, extending from grass, etc., up to the living bodies, let there be nothing that gives you pleasure. 107. In the absence of the eye sense and its negation, at once existent and non-existence, what remains unattached, self-same, superlative pure, and steadfast is said to be the fourth. 108. That superlative pure sameness, the quiescence, state of liberation in life, the state of the spectator, is in empirical usage called the fourth state. 109. This is neither wakefulness nor dream, for there is no room for mental constructions, neither is this the state of deep sleep, for no inertness is involved in this. 110. This world as it is dissolved, and then in its fourth state for those who are tranquilized and rightly awakened. For the unawakened it stands changeless, as it is in its plurality. 111. When the aspect of eye sense is given up and equability dominates, and the mind disintegrates, the fourth state comes on. 112. The repudiation of the object manifold in the doctrine of the Shastras, setting forth the spirit. Here is neither avidya nor maya. This is tranquil Brahman, unfatigued. 113. One is inevitably tranquilized in the clear sky of the spirit known as Brahman, whose essence is the quietude and equability, and which is resplendent with all powers. 114. Giving up everything, be wedded to an immense silence, O sinless one, plunged into nirvana, lifted above ratiocination, with mind attenuated and intellect becalmed. 150. With a tranquilized mind, abide in the self like one dumb, blind and deaf, ever turned inward, superlative pure, with brimming inner wisdom. 116. O twice born, perform acts, remain in deep slumber in wakefulness itself, having internally renounced everything, act externally as occasion arises. 117. Minds being alone is suffering. The giving up of the mind alone is joy. Therefore, through non-cognition of objects, attenuate the mind in the sky of the spirit. 118. Seeing that the beautiful or the ugly always remains like a stone, irremovable, thus, through one's own effort, is empirical existence conquered. 119. What is hidden in the Vedanta, taught in the bygone ages, should not be offered to one who is not established in peace, neither to one who is not a son or pupil. 120. Whoever studies the Annapurna Upanishad with the blessing of one's teacher becomes a Jivan Mukta, and by himself altogether Brahman. This is the Upanishad. Om, O Devas, may we hear what our ears, what is auspicious. May we see with our eyes what is auspicious, O, a worthy of worship. May we enjoy the term of life allotted by the Devas, praising them with our body and limbs steady. May the glorious Indra bless us. May the all-knowing Sun bless us. May Garuda, the thunderbolt for evil, bless us. May Brahaspati grant us well-being. Om, let there be peace in me. Let there be peace in my environment. Let there be peace in the forces that act on me. Here ends the Annapurna Upanishad as contained in Atharva Veda. Om Sri Krishnarpanamastu.